Hello, hello. Just out here connecting today, having some interesting ideas about that of connection. And really, when it comes down to it, what is not nature? What is not something that originated from nature? We might have altered it and we might have changed the form of it, changed how it all fits together, but in reality, it's all the same. The building blocks and the particles of everything are within everything. No matter if it's the middle of a city or out here in the mountains by the trees. Now, the difference I notice is the frequency, and I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. It's more serene, it's more peaceful, it's less cluttered in a space like this. But don't let that fool you into thinking that you have to be in a certain place in order to feel connected, in order to really dive deep within yourself and within everything that's around. Source consciousness is within everything. That is everything, no matter if it's something that you label as good or bad, whatever it might be. Whether that be the pollution, the cars, the trees, the nature. However you choose to see these things in relationship to whatever it is that you perceive you as, all of them are in itself that divine consciousness. All of it is. Like I said, it's about resonance, it's about frequency. And it is not all of the same resonance, it's not all of the same frequency. Out here it is more harmonious. It's more natural, meaning the word al, to transmute. Transmutation of that which is natural, that which is closer to what is our divine nature. But it's important to be able to look past these things, look past the external world. It doesn't matter where you are. You can find that connection deep within yourself. It's there. It is most definitely there. And once you actually go and find that and choose to connect regardless of where you are, it's not going to matter to you much where you are anymore. Because all of it is source, and source is you. Now, on another note, I've been thinking about the idea of desire, and really how is it that we can desire something? Because if there's something that we want, then that is already an indication that we don't have it. But in saying that we desire something, that is saying that there is something currently outside of ourselves that we do not possess. And that's an illusion. That's a paradox. So how is it that you can want something? How is it that you can want to have more, or to be more, or whatever those sorts of things are, want to connect more, whatever the things are? I noticed myself doing this today, coming, and it's the mind, of course, the mind saying, okay, well, there's this and I want this and I could do this. And really none of that is true. It is a reality in a sense, in the sense that it's something we perceive. And all of this is just perception. But the reality of it is you are all of it already. So your soul, the divine consciousness that you are, has already completed this whole life, this whole experience that you're having right now. All of it has already been done, and you're recalling it, you're perceiving it in each individual moment. Now, how is it that you can desire something? Well, the truth is you can't. The I can, meaning the ego that when you find yourself in separation from what is actually your true essence. And what the ego will do in that aspect is view something that you feel you are lacking, when in reality the lack that you feel and the thing that you desire is just reflecting back to an internal state of you feeling disconnected or not complete, in a sense. So the cure for this, in a sense, is to view the desire and just see what it is pointing you back towards, because I guarantee you'll find some feeling inside of yourself that is that of lack. It's that of not being whole, not being complete. Come back to the realization of your heart space. Come back to the understanding, the inner standing of your multidimensional self, and accept that as it is. Accept that everything in the moment is perfect. Everything is already complete. Everything is already that. And then you come back into your soul resonance. You come back into that heart space frequency, your multi-dimensional path, There's no past or future. So that's saying if there's something you feel in the future, okay, I want this, I want to have this. Now, why? Why is that something that you want to have? Is it something you think would make you better? Is it something that you think would improve you, that would make your situation better, make you happier, whatever it is? How do you know that will make you happier? How do you know that will make you better? Because the only way you would know if something could make you better is if you knew what you are. And there's no way that our mind, the thing that can process like that, could know what we are. Because a 3D construct cannot wrap itself around a multidimensional being. So, how do you know that thing will make you happier? How do you know that thing will make you better? You don't. You don't. So it's just an illusion. It's just something that is just showing you a frequency. It's just showing you a frequency of lack, and the mind is processing it as a certain way. And it's showing you something that it's like, okay, this external thing will help my internal state be better. Nah, it's the other way around. When you find your internal state and you balance that and come to do things to connect with yourself, that's all it is. Come and connect with yourself, sit in your heart space, do some breathing, whatever it is to make you feel more connected to yourself. When you rid yourself of those frequencies and stop attaching to the external things, you'll find yourself in natural resonance with yourself. And when you're in natural resonance, you don't need to figure out what it is that you need, because you're already that. You're already something that is complete in itself. And when you're complete in yourself innately, you're going to start attracting things that are of the same nature, things that are in natural resonance with you. Because otherwise, if you're in the delusion of trying to get things, trying to grasp things, trying to want things, trying to be better, do better, all of these things which seem like good intentions, seems like, yeah, I'm helping myself out here, I'm doing myself a favor, but when you do things just because you think it's a good idea and just because it seems logical, it seems like that, you're separating from yourself. You're separating from that natural multidimensional heart space rhythm that you possess all the time. And that creates dissonance. And then you start attracting things that are dissonant. You're just gonna keep attracting things on that level that are gonna keep showing you the same thing in different forms. They're just gonna change shape, it's gonna change what it is. It'll be one thing and then another thing, and you'll find yourself going through cycles. Because the mind, the 3D disc, it's cyclical. It's going to go in circles and circles and circles. That's what it does. I'm not saying the mind is a bad thing, because it's neither good or bad. It is simply a tool. So the real way to use your mind to your benefit is to view it as a reflector, as simply a mirror. Not necessarily that what it's telling you is like that specific thing is valid. Like, say for instance, you have something that's like, well, I want to connect with people that are like more like me. You have like a feeling of loneliness, you have a feeling of isolation, something like that. Don't jump into the feeling of that isolation. Don't jump into the thought, the process of that, because what you'll find yourself is going on a loop and trying to figure out how to solve that problem. But don't create a problem in trying to solve the problem, because you're viewing it as a problem. Now, the real feeling, you want to view the feeling more objectively. So you can see it as something that is just reflecting to you, it's alluding to yourself. If you see an external scenario, like I said, say for instance, you want to find people to connect with. You want to find friends. You want to, whatever that thing means to you. This is just for example, the purpose of an example. And you're going out of your way, out of what you would normally do to go and connect with things. You're trying to force something. You're trying to force a situation in order to affect your internal state. And all that's going to do is continue to make dissonance and continue to feel more that way, because all you're doing is validating that by going and acting on it. That's the thing. When the mind gives you something like that and you act on it, you're giving your power away to it. Use that to see if you have a feeling like that, like if you have that loneliness sensation, then instead of going outside and looking for something to fill that, or looking for something to solve that, go inside and find within yourself some aspect of where you are not feeling complete, where you are not, in a sense, like connecting with yourself, because that's all it's showing you. View it, look back at yourself with all the emotions that you feel. This could go on with any example, like even for people who might feel anxiety or something like that. You feel anxiety and you think that it's the external situations that are causing that. No, it's not. Those are triggers that are just showing you aspects of yourself that are not fortified in a sense, that are not complete, that haven't been healed, that just need that love, they need that attention, they need you to bring that consciousness, which you are, to them, so they can be processed and they can be released. This is really the essence of self-healing, of supporting yourself, because if you realize this, if you can grasp this concept, and don't grasp it, understand it, if you can really feel what it is to know this, if you know this so innately within yourself, then it's not really going to matter what triggers you or what happens. You're not going to be a victim to scenarios anymore, because all of the people that you're around, you're just going to almost be... I wait for the triggers now. I wait for them to happen, because when they do, I'm just like, cool. That has nothing to do with this person. That has everything to do with my relationship with myself and the reflection that I'm seeing from that person. And really, that's your true power, because once you see that, you're not a victim to circumstance anymore. You can heal anything that comes to you, and you kind of look for the things all of a sudden, because you have faith in your power. You have faith in the fact that you can be complete within. You can give yourself that inner peace, that inner understanding. And there's really nothing more to it. It is such a simple idea. It is such a simple concept. But we just have to view we've been taught the wrong way. We've been taught to look at all of these external scenarios. Everything in human culture, for the most part, in Western society, is all about, okay, learn the outside things. And we go through life not having any memories of who we actually are, and we try to pick up on these things that are around and say, okay, this thing's sort of me. This thing's sort of me. But then when it comes to emotions and it comes to interacting with other people or just interacting with your environment, whatever it is, we take these things very personally. We take them inside. But our external reality is just a mirror of our internal state. So like I said initially in this video, you can see whether you're in nature or whether you're in the city, you can find a deep connection no matter where you are, because like it's inside out. That's how this works. If you can purify the internal state, if you can make yourself feel good internally, you're going to start attracting things that feel good externally, that naturally match that resonance, because that's how it works. Like attracts like. So don't go feeding these illusions. Don't swim in the delusions. Don't mess with them. You don't have to. Like I said, the mind is a beautiful tool, but don't use it as the driver. Don't use it as the thing to go forth and actually live your life and actually experience your consciousness through. It's a mirror. It's a tool. It is something to help you see yourself in greater detail and help you process this world. But don't treat it as anything more than that. Don't feed it so much. You want to, and don't get me wrong, learning and sharpening the mind and doing things of that aspect, that's beautiful. That is wonderful, because you're feeding yourself. You're feeding something that is innately you, but you have to know how to use the tool. It's pointless if you're not using it correctly, because then you're using it as a disadvantage to yourself. You're actually hurting yourself by trying to do that. And I mean, I can speak from experience. I used to be a person who was always trying to figure everything out, always analyzing everything, always trying to grasp it, hold on to it. And the answer that you find is that there is no answer. There simply is not. The answer is within you, and it is not an answer. It is the fact that in the moment, that is all there is. You can live from the now moment, and as soon as you find yourself with some emotions or some thoughts that are pulling you out of the moment, that is just indicating the degree to which you are separated from yourself. Let the thoughts, let the emotions, let them go. Let it just drift on by, let them float on through like clouds. Pay no heed to them. They're not yours. You have to understand that. It's not yours, it's just reflections. And all of that is just going to allude to different aspects of your conditioning, different aspects that you've put yourself in these boxes, you've put yourself in these constructs. Every time something triggers you, look back at yourself. Doesn't matter what kind of trigger it is. Every time you see something like that, every time you feel something like that, look back at yourself. Because I guarantee you, if you start just coming back to yourself, as soon as those moments happen, you'll find yourself back in joy, back in bliss, because there's nothing else. You'll find yourself coming back to yourself, and the problem that you thought you had, which you didn't, you just thought you had it, is no longer there. And you'll find, oh wow, that's not actually an issue. I just kept feeding that issue. I made a thought form out of it, and I kept giving it my power. And that was the whole reason that I kept finding myself in that cycle. It had nothing to do with anything. You just kept feeding it. You associated with it. So don't associate. You don't have to. You're a divine soul, and you're also not. You're nothing. You are no thing. None of us are. We're just the consciousness. We're not these human beings. We're multidimensional somethings. Something that doesn't need to be defined. and find your truth within that. After all, we're human beings, not human doings. We're here to experience being human, not to come and do human things, even though part of the experience is to do that. You just don't have to view it from this linear 3D construct. So set yourself free.